area. Benjamin Russell basketball starts tonight over, well, it's already started, but their first home game for everybody is over at Benjamin Russell tonight. So if you're a big basketball fan, Coach Hines really has a team that's athletic and fun to watch this year, and he tweeted that out last night, wanting everybody to come out and support this team, Luke. And I know you're a big basketball person as college basketball has started for both Alabama and Auburn. We'll talk a little bit about that. And one local note, I mean, we've got kids that have been part of that program and kids that are part of that program right now is the UAB situation. You and I and Randy and all of us didn't go to UAB, and we really don't have a dog in the fight. But, you know, as media and sports, covering sports throughout the state, you know, our heart goes out to the players and the recruits for that program because, you know, it's been since 1995 since a college football program has been abolished, and that was Pacific back then. And so it's in state, and, you know, it's sad to see it go. A lot of people felt like it was coming for a while. And I guess the head-scratching thing for all of it, Luke, is the timing of all of it. You get a coach in there, and Bill Clark gets them to a 6-6 mark this year, have a chance to go to a bowl game, and then they come out after the season and declare that the program's no more. So it's a lot of speculation, a lot of things going on. We'll have Cameron Blankenship on with us, who had one more year left at UAB, from Alex City, a former Benjamin Russell Wildcat, a very good football player, on with us at 7:30 tonight on Sports Blitz.
Yeah, we will. And look, I feel for him. I hope that he lands somewhere. I hope he decides to pursue his football career even further. I hope that he ends up landing at a prestigious university or any university, and he finished it up. He may want to finish up at UAB and just get his degree. I think that's something we need to ask him. I do hate it for the kids. I think everybody's looking at Alabama fans saying, why would y'all do this? And I'm looking at it like, hey, look, I have no problem with UAB having a football program one way or the other, and I do know, especially now having been involved with high school and high schools across the state much more than I was in the past, that it goes beyond the game, and it's great for kids to have scholarships. Look, UAB also lost their bowling team and some other team today too. I mean, It wasn't just football. But I guess the question I would ask, and I don't ask it condescendingly, I don't ask it with any ill intent, is where was all this frustration? Where were all these people who were so frustrated now? Yeah. Where were they? Why weren't they ever at any games? I mean, there was never any call for, we need more UAB football. We need more this. We need more that. And I just never saw it. And I guess I'm looking at it like it's one of those things you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Sure.
And I guess that's how I would address some of this. I don't mean it in a condescending light. I don't mean it to sound heartless. I'm just simply asking the question.
You don't know, and I don't know, and I think that's a fair question. And you know, I heard something today on another show, and somebody called in, and this could be pure speculation. This guy might have known more than we give him credit for, but he said that it was because Alabama and the board of trustees wanted UAB to be more of a graduate school and not an undergraduate school. They wanted more focus on the graduate side of things in the medical school rather than creating an undergraduate environment. And with athletics and football, you're obviously creating an undergraduate style environment. So I don't know if there's any credence to that statement or not, but you know, there's a lot of things out there that we can speculate on. But you know, the guys that were on the show said, man, that's a good point. And you know, not necessarily is it all. Look, right now you're at rock bottom if you're a UAB athletic person that really wants to see this football program stay. You know, and I don't think you'll ever get over it if you're a diehard UAB fan. But the further away from this moment you get, the better it'll be. And maybe, in my hopes for Alabama's sake, is they come out and show the vision of why they did this. Not just outside of, this program was a money pit. It showed the vision of why they made the decision to do what they did.
Well, honestly, if the board of trustees, and everybody keeps saying Alabama like it's this entity in Tuscaloosa just destroying UAB, which, I mean, the whole idea that UAB was a threat to Alabama is so laughable. I don't even know what to say.
That's not even the point.
I go back to if they do want them to be looked at as more of a graduate program, what's so wrong with that? Because I'll tell you something, UAB's graduate program, their medical school is considered to be pretty top notch.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Their undergrad, maybe the whole football thing never got a foothold. I've heard some numbers, and I don't know what's right and what's wrong, and both sides will throw out what they want to throw out. I'm standing back and saying, okay, I understand why everybody's upset. I understand why UAB people are upset. If I were a fan, I'd be upset too. But I mean, high schools drop football sometimes. Sometimes it just isn't a viable option. And it sure seemed to me like UAB didn't have all the support it needed to have, or didn't even have it anywhere close. And I again, it sounds like I'm being heartless. And Brett, I'm not trying to be. I'm just asking the question, where were all the fans that are so mad now? Why weren't you at any of the games before? Because we've all seen the highlights. Nobody saw UAB on television very much, so it wasn't like we watched that. We would see highlights on Channel 6 or Channel 13 of the game, and you'd look, and there'd be very few people in the stands. Well, that's undeniable.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's you're right. And here's the thing: the attendance did go up at UAB this year, and rightfully, anybody wants to be part of a winning program. And UAB was a lot more competitive this year. I thought that. I mean, they took some on the chin at Arkansas and some of those places like that. But went to Starkville and was very respectful over there in that game, and respectable in that game. And you look at the numbers. You build a 30,000 on-campus seat stadium, and if they're averaging, 18 to 21,000 fans per game, then you look in that type of stadium and environment, it didn't look that bad and hollowed out in an old, broken down dump of what Legion Field is now. And I don't think I'm offending anybody, but that's just what they were given to play in. The city of Birmingham really hadn't put any money into that stadium. They've torn the upper decks down. So they were playing in a dilapidated stadium, but it was still a 50 to 60,000 bowl stadium on the bottom half. Yeah, you put 20,000 people in there, it's going to look nearly empty. I mean, it's not a cut on the Super 7. The Super 7 doesn't intend to fill up Jordan-Hare Stadium or Bryant-Denny. They have the events there because of the honor and the prestige of being on either one of those campuses. But UAB didn't need a 60 or 70,000 seat stadium. They needed a 25,000 seat stadium or a 30,000 seat stadium.
15.
And to build it, though. But to build what they needed. So, I can see both sides. I'm standing up here as part of the media, and I'm telling you, I can see both sides of the coin.
I look at it like I hate it. I really do hate it because I know some of the kids that are there, and I do. My heart goes out to them. I'm very, very sorry, and I'm not – I have no other way to look other than being kind of heartless about it, and I'm not trying to be. I'm just simply asking the questions. If it's not doing well and if it's not making money and there's not very much support – I've seen some of the tweets out today with pictures with here was they had a rally, and there'd be, I don't know, less than 100 people there, and I'm thinking, okay, a rally. I mean, I'm thinking thousands of people there, and I go, this would be terrible. But – again, it's just I understand it, and I understand where the Skarbinskis are coming from, and I understand where some of these other big-name media types and the Tim Brandos, but they also are champions for the little guy, and they love to go out there and say what they can about the little guy and stir the pot and sort of be a rabble-rouser sometimes. But, again, it's a sad thing. Nobody denies that. I don't think anybody's looking at this like – we're glad UAB's gone away. I'm not glad UAB's gone away by any stretch. But I'm just saying, if somebody can tell me other than I hate it for the kids, we all hate it for the kids. Now tell me, again, how they were supposed to keep it going if it was hemorrhaging money all the time. That's my question.
Well, I mean, it's a fair question. Maybe somebody can call in and give us some answers to that. I think we'll have some great insight from a player tonight in Cameron Blankenship. I think he'll speak openly and honestly. Again, knowing Cameron and him being on this show a bunch, my heart goes out to him because, not many people get the opportunity to go play college football. And I thought Bill Clark had done an outstanding job this year with what he'd done and going out and getting recruits and all. And you had Justin Kraft on the show about a month ago. I thought it was an outstanding interview that you had with Justin Kraft. And look, man, we were all supporting UAB on this program. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt in that. But, I mean, from a business standpoint, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sitting there pointing a finger at Alabama. I'm saying that at least show the numbers. And I think that just tells the tale a lot of times. Spread it out on the table and say, man, look at this. Look at what the program was doing. Look at what we tried. Look at what we tried to do over the past few years, and it didn't work. And here's the explanation. I think the people out there that are rebel rousing, like you were saying, that are trying to get things kind of in motion for UAB support, are just the timing was like, what in the world? You wanted us to be a winning program.
They're trying to get support now. Where were they 2 years ago? Where were they 3 years ago? They hadn't been there. That's my whole thing is now the decision to cut this program wasn't just made yesterday. I get the feeling. Maybe Cameron can dispute it. I get the feeling the decision was maybe even made before this season started. And again, that's very sad to me. If that's another thing look, the way a lot of this has gone about and been announced has been quite questionable.
Yeah. I think that's the problem. I think, look, the not talking to Bill Clark, the not giving him any information, not bringing him, it's sometimes in how you handle things from top down. And, I think you heard all this stuff and you knew, like you said, you've heard it in the past, and then no action were ever taken. And then all of a sudden you start hearing stuff and nobody officially came in and said, all right, they brought people in and said, well, this is what we're going to do. What about phasing something out? What about saying, look, and I know that could be bad in its own self, but just to drop the guillotine.
I think the only way to do it is to drop the guillotine, but it's very odd because if this, the decision had to be made a while back that this was going to happen. It's almost, I'm in a state of more disbelief.
It wasn't really communicated well because they were allowing coaches to continue to go out on the trail and recruit and try to do things like that. If it were communicated 6, 7, 8 months ago, Bill Clark probably wouldn't have come to UAB, and he probably, that's what the whole speculation was.
Right.
And maybe Garrett McGee knew something that nobody else knew.
True.
Okay, that I don't know all the answers, but Bill Clark obviously believed that he was coming to a program and he was going to be given the keys to really go out and try to do some things to try to build this program up, and obviously that wasn't the truth.
Well, look, it's always sad in business when, especially in the large corporate world or any part of business, small business, whatever. But let's just say you're at a large corporation. They never fire you on Monday. And say, you know what, we want you to finish up the week because you're going to come around and just throw papers around and do whatever and take that paycheck. They usually fire you at 4 o'clock on a Friday. And because that way you've put in the work, and that's probably the same way this went down. If they had let anybody know that this was going to happen, everybody probably would have mailed it in, and maybe there's some other contractual obligations. Think about this, Brett. Maybe there were some contractual obligations in the sense that, you couldn't cut the program at the beginning of the year when they wanted to because maybe they had to go play some of these games like Mississippi State, or they forfeit a bunch of money. Who knows? I'm just guessing. I'm speculating here. But, again, I go back to
maybe
everybody hates it for the kids especially. I'm not worried about Bill Clark. Let me tell you something. Bill Clark is world class when it comes to football coach. He's going to be fine. Somewhere. And it may end up very good for somebody like an Auburn. He may end up – what if he were to end up as a defensive coordinator there? I think he's a better, more viable option than Will Muschamp. Honestly, if Will Muschamp goes to Auburn, how long do you expect to have him? A year? And wait a minute, this is the same Will Muschamp whose defense got torched by Alabama and Tuscaloosa, by the way.
Well, and it's different than when you're a head coach versus a defense coordinator. You know that. But somebody asked the question to Lane Kiffin. Why does Alabama go out and hire Lane Kiffin? He ain't going to be there but a year or two. Well, the response that I heard this week is you hire for the moment. You don't hire for what happens in 3 years, because if you don't get it done right now, they're not going to be 3 years for you. So you don't worry about what's going to happen in 2 or 3 years. You worry about what's going on now. And if Will Muschamp, you feel like he's the best hire for your program, you go get him now. That's what Alabama did with their offense. Hey, Lane Kiffin, I definitely think head coaches again somewhere. Is he going to be at Alabama one more year? Maybe, but I would think that would be it. So if Alabama wins a national championship this year, was it worth hiring him?
Oh, there's no question about it. Look, and I get what you're saying there. Really quickly before we go to break.
Yeah, we got to get
some good news. Interesting news. How about the playoff committee? Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Oregon. Number 3, TCU. And number 4, Florida State.
You know why they did that, don't you?
Why?
So Alabama and Florida State can play in the Sugar Bowl and draw tickets. But
if Alabama,
money.
if Alabama and Ohio State would draw tickets too.
Well, it wouldn't draw.
I would be willing to bet you Ohio State travels better than Florida State. So if you really wanted to draw tickets, you'd put Ohio State in there. But I'm wondering what's interesting here is now is the committee setting themselves up so that they can say, well, we can't let Baylor jump in now. Maybe it sounds like they don't want Baylor in there is the bottom line.
I think that's probably what it is more than anything. Yeah, we do have to go to break. When we come back, we'll have our gymnastics group on here from the city here in Alex City, and a great group of girls. We've had them on several times. Looking forward to having them up here as part of the program. So we'll go to break. When we come back, we'll have them on, and we'll highlight what they've been doing here as part of this program. Stay tuned. More of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup right after this.
This summer, the world, you get your
Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup show here. Brett Pritchard here at JR Sports Bar and Grill with you till 7 o'clock. Luke Robinson will join me back up here in just a little bit. But at this time, I want to welcome in Cornelius Benson with Live to Tumble Academy. Cornelius, thanks so much for being up here and being part of the program. Here in the next segment, we'll have some of your girls come up. But I tell you what, it's gymnastics has really exploded in this community.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, me growing up here and over the couple of years of just watching things go down, back when I was young, over right across the street there, we would have hundreds of cheerleaders and hundreds of gymnasts, and it was a little downtime.
Yeah, a little,
you know, a little dip, but these last couple of years now, it's definitely been a more of an uphill going with the gymnastics programs, and that's definitely something that we're looking to keep going, especially at Lift to Tumble Academy now that we're in our new location. Now that it used to be Outlet City Gymnastics.
That's right.
And that's no longer going on at all. Now it's Lift to Tumble Academy. At the beginning of the year, it's all going to be changed over. The gymnastics team will definitely continue on. They're not ending. There have been a couple of rumors out there saying, oh my gosh, I think it's going to end once state competition. No, we have a very good, strong, talented group of athletes there at the gym. Over the past 2 or 3 months with me being there, our level 2 girls have gone from doing round-offs to some of them doing handspring tucks and series of handsprings just in like 2 or 3 months. So just imagine giving these girls a year's time of great practice,
outstanding,
where they're going to be, So we're really excited about the team. We also are doing something that this city has never had before, which is power tumbling.
Okay.
And that is a huge sport. This sport is actually so big, they don't broadcast it during the Olympics because it would take away from the actual gymnastics.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, explain a little bit what power tumbling is for everybody out there listening.
Power tumbling is a apparatus where you're on a tumble track, which is like a really long stretched out trampoline.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting because a lot of kids can go on a trampoline and do a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So this sport is solely based on technique.
Okay.
But you're doing very elite skills from like layouts to whip backs and things. It's incredible. It's a really big thing in some of the larger cities, but it's something that I definitely want to bring here. Boys can do it. Girls can do it. And it doesn't really have an age limit. Like I could still do it if I want to.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
But that's not happening.
Well, we've got Corn, and that's what everybody knows you as around here. So that's how we'll refer to you from now on. Live to Tumble Academy again, formerly the city program. You took it over, and reiterate that point of your commitment, the people, your staff that's there, the commitment to these girls. When I ask you off the air how many girls you have part of this, you said 200 plus. And that's amazing. And and the stronger it is, the more people know about it. That's why you guys are here tonight.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of girls out there that are probably listening and parents listening that would love to have their child active. And that's what we're promoting in this country now is get your child out and get them active in something.
Absolutely.
And like you said, not only girls, but boys really involved in that. And to watch the Olympics every 4 years is tremendous to see the athletes out there and what they're able to do.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting. And I tell people this all the time when they say, oh my gosh, they think of Corn and the first thing they think is cheerleading. That's what you hear. If you look at Zaxby's, you look on their walls, you see those state champion cheerleaders. Myself, Miss Chapman, and Miss Marie Parks, we took them there. We did that. And the one thing that I loved about Miss Chapman and Miss Parks is they taught me a long time ago, when you have an athlete, it takes 2 important things in order for them to be outstanding. That is talent, just a little talent, and determination. So
that's in any sport.
So we make sure, especially at Lift to Tumble Academy, that even if you have just a small list, a bit of talent, that we're going to train you to get that work ethic and all. I started out as doing gymnastics. I didn't compete or anything like that, but I started out doing gymnastics, and then I moved to cheerleading. But back in 2010, a lot of people don't know, but I'm a licensed skin therapist. I have my own skincare and makeup line. Back in 2010, I was going to move to Chicago and open up a store and all that great stuff. And there were a group of girls at Outlet City Gym at that time who lost a coach. And, people were like, what are you going to do? And I felt that was like a defining moment in my life because God was saying to me, are you going to stay here and teach these athletes?
Make a difference.
Or are you going to go on and do your own thing? And I stayed back and I decided to help these girls and make sure that they got along where they needed to go. And I have said it from the jump, until I get me so many plus girls with college scholarships, I'm not going anywhere.
You're not going to go anywhere. Well, that's
No.
great. That's determination. So that's what you're talking about here. Well, Corn, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, you're going to stay right here. Luke's going to jump back up here with us, and we're going to let some of these young ladies introduce themselves, what level they're at, what they were able to accomplish at state meet, and all that great stuff. We're going to turn the mic over to them, let them talk a little bit.
Sounds perfect.
All right, Corn, thank you so much. Stay tuned. More of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup right after this.
All right, you're good. One.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show. Brett Pritchard and Luke Robinson up here now with Cornelius Benson, better known as Corn, here in Alex City, and with Live to Tumble Academy for one more segment. And Corn, this time we're going to let some of your young ladies come up here, and Luke's he's got the mic up here, and this is the highlight of this show all the time. We have our youth league basketball, youth league baseball, youth league softball, and football teams come up here, see these kids, and give them an opportunity to shine on TV. So I'll turn it over to you, and we'll let this first young lady come walk up, Luke, and I'll let you get her name and what she participates in.
What's your name?
Kaylee.
Well, you sure are cute. What are all those medals for?
Vault, bars, beam, and floor. I got first on vault, first on bars, seventh on beam, second on floor, and first all around.
Well, that's great. Thank you for being here.
A lot of hardware there for her. So, and this is for the blue gray, right?
Yeah, this is for the blue gray competition.
How are you tonight? Good. What's your name?
Olivia Booker.
And what all awards do you have?
I have fourth on beam, second on vault, third on floor, and seventh on bars, and first place all around.
Good job. Good job. Thank you for
All
being
right. Great. We got another young lady coming up here.
here. Okay, and what's your name?
Brianna Griffin.
And talk about your awards.
I got first on bars, sixth on vault and beam, and
You got to check it there.
I don't know,
I don't know.
third all around.
Third
And
all
Brad, she's so good. She's got ribbons on her shoes.
There you
She's
go.
won two. Both her feet won first prize. Let's see who's got next. How are you tonight?
Good.
What's your name?
Riley.
And Rayleigh, what have you won?
That seems to be
Third
a
on-
stumping question there.
Third on beam, fourth on floor, 11th on bars, 10th all around, and I think 6th on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was sixth, if I remember right. It was sixth. Thanks. And what's your name?
Michaela.
Michaela. Boy, you have a lot of trophies there. What are they for?
Bars, beam, floor, and vaults. And first place on vault, first place on floor, first place on beam, and second place on bars, and first all around.
Well, she didn't have any problem remembering
No,
those.
she just rattled it right off. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for being up here.
Hey, and Corn, what a great group
Oh,
of young
yeah.
girls.
I mean, honestly, what's really incredible about this group of girls here is the team themselves. They won first. The entire team
Wow.
won first, and they also were the only team at the competition that walked away winning 2 out of the 4 events out of the entire competition.
That's outstanding.
Yes.
Well, and that was the blue gray event. So you guys have state competition coming up when?
This Friday and Saturday.
This Friday and Saturday. All right, give the age range real quick before we let you go of the girls that are in the academy.
From the girls, we have girls that are about 6 or 7, and it goes up to about 13. I think we have at the gym. As far as the gymnastics program grow, that's one thing that we really, really want to put out there. The gymnastics program, you can't get any better. You have myself, who's had years of experience, David Coleman, who I actually taught me, which is incredible. I mean, so you get quality training, and that's why these girls are coming away with so many of these trophies and medals. I mean, so
hard-earned, a lot of work put in.
A lot of work, but they're having fun, and that's what really matters with these girls. They're having fun, and they're learning what great work ethic is. So we're really excited about going to Mobile this weekend and hopefully coming back with some trophies and more medals for you guys to see next week.
Well, we look forward to having you guys back up here to showcase what these young ladies are going to be able to do, because I know since they did so well at the Blue Gray, they're going to do outstanding at state. Good luck to you guys, Corn, and look forward to catching up with you.
Thank you so much. Just let everybody know that they can come over to the gym anytime. You get 2 free trial gymnastics classes and cheerleading classes anytime.
Wow, okay.
Just swing by there and you can try it out. See
Right
what you
across
like.
the street here from
Right
JR's.
across the street. So it's not hard to find at all.
There you go, Corn. Thanks so much, my man.
Thank you for having
Appreciate it.
me.
It's good to see you again. And that is Live to Tumble Academy. They'll be competing in state competition this coming up weekend. Stay tuned. More of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup right after this.
All right, you're off.
Community for many years.
You know what I just thought about, bro?
I don't even want to know.
The lead-in song here in Living Color.
Yeah.
The lead singer looks. Korn looks a little bit like him.
I just thought that. I just had the same thought. That's kind of ironic. So
if you had the
but
magic of TV,
only of us would know that because
I just remember the video
listening to that song exactly and had the long hair exactly. So very ironic that was the case there. Luke Robinson, Brett Pritchard up here with you for about 20 more minutes. Then you and I'll head over for 2 more hours of Sports Blitz tonight, but a lot to talk about tonight. And again, I want to thank Live to Tumble Academy, the girls, awesome group of girls you got a chance to meet there, Luke, and they'll be heading off the state this coming up weekend. We wish them nothing but the best. You and I will be heading over tomorrow along with Randy and the whole AHSA Radio Network crew, Justin, our producer, heading to Jordan-Hare Stadium for 3 great days of high school football. Good Lord's blessed us with some outstanding weather, it looks like.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be wonderful. And
hopefully you won't be sick as a dog like 2 years ago when you were.
2 years ago. I don't know that I've ever been that sick.
And
I was driving home, and a cop pulled me over for driving too slow. Because I was so sick, I was scared to go any faster.
Well, it was just, when you're trying to be a part of something like that, and it's tough when you're sick, but hopefully everybody will be 100%. We've got some great games that we're going to be broadcasting over the next few days at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Tomorrow night, we'll kick it off with Hoover and Prattville. I'm excited. It's another edition of this great rivalry that's been established over the last decade here in this state. That game kicks off at 7 o'clock. It'll be the first ever 7A championship game, Luke.
And what more fitting way to kick it off than to have the two most renowned teams, I believe, at least over the last 20 years in this state, face off for the title. And, look, I know Hoover's going to be a heavy favorite, but don't sleep on Prattville right now. They have got it rolling. In fact, if there's any team that probably wishes they didn't have a little extra time to prepare, that they just could have kept playing football, I bet you it's Prattville.
That's exactly right. And Chad Anderson, got to feel good for him. A lot of pressure taking that program over from Jamie Dubose, but gets the better of Jamie Dubose a couple of rounds ago, beating that Central Phoenix City team, and then beat a very good Foley team to get there to take on Hoover. On Thursday, the lineup is 5A, 3A, and 1A. It'll be Pleasant Grove in their first ever championship appearance in school history, taking on St. Paul's. St. Paul's has been number 1 in 5A from the get-go and have been number 1 since, and they're 14-0 for a reason. But, this was what the new classification was supposed to do, designed to do, Luke. It was to kind of even things out, not necessarily in 7A, but 6A through 1A. And now you'll see more teams like this over the next few years make their first appearance, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I'm really happy for them. And St. Paul's, you talk about a program that just keeps churning out talent.
And they do.
They've got guys that have played for Alabama and Auburn on several different occasions, and they're very strong again. I don't know. Yeah, they've been ranked pretty highly all year, but I think you would have been hard-pressed to find somebody say, I think St. Paul's is going to win it all again this year after some of the guys they lost.
Lost Trey Williams, one of
Josh Casher.
And Josh Casher, both tremendous athletes there. And
when you have a guy signed with one guy with Alabama and one guy with Auburn, you would think you're going to have a dip, and they didn't.
They didn't have a dip. So that's the 5A game. The 3A game will be Madison Academy and Dale County. Maybe two of the best running backs in the state, Luke. I know Trey Nation, we'll get to see him at Leeds. We'll talk about that in a little bit. There's some other great backs Bradrick Shaw, obviously, with Hoover. But Madison Academy has Kerryon Johnson and Dale County. Malik Miller, both of those guys. And Dale County may have the best running back in the state. I mean, he has amassed over 3,000 rushing yards, broke the state record. We'll see both of those guys in the same game. So that's the 3A matchup. And in the 1A matchups, Hubbardsville and Maplesville. And we've talked about Maplesville all year, Luke, on this show and how tough they are. They've been close in the past couple of years, but haven't been able to grab that 1A title. That's going to be a good football game. Neither one of these teams have lost this year. I'm waiting to see what gives in that football game.
Yeah, and Hubbardsville, if you like running the football, you can go ahead and bring it on down here to Jordan-Hare to Thursday, because Hubbardsville just don't throw it. They just ain't going through it.
You want a neat fact about Hubbardsville and Maplesville? The head coach for Maplesville's last name's Hubbard, and his family was one of the original families that created Hubbardsville up in the north part of Alabama.
Wow.
So just kind of a unique connection there.
That is
ironically.
odd. And Hubbardville also has a 6'6" quarterback who also plays in the defensive backfield. That's
Wow.
pretty interesting because I know Maplesville has a 6'3" wide receiver, and when they do throw the ball, and Maplesville doesn't throw it often, but when they do, they'll target him.
You know, we've seen so many great athletes over the past 7 years, Luke. It's hard to believe we've been doing this 7 years on the state. But you get to see in the lower classifications some of these elite athletes showcase because they never come off the field. I mean, like you said, this guy will go from quarterback to in the defensive backfield and swap in and out. And, you know, you really see the stamina. I remember several years ago when Reeltown made it to Jordan Hare, and they took on a guy named Sammy Coates at Leroy. And that was my first opportunity to stand on the sideline and see Sammy Coates up close and personal. And Sammy Coates, when he left and quit playing wide receiver, he went and lined up as a linebacker.
Yeah.
I mean, so he just slides over and starts playing. I love to watch that lower classification and see some of these teams get after it.
Yeah, I do too. And it's going to be a lot of fun. There was the name escapes me, the running back for the 1A state champs last year. I believe his last name I believe it was Jamarcus Brown.
Okay.
Now it's coming back. It's all coming back to me now. But he was absolutely fabulous. And I remember thinking, we're talking about UAB. I was like, I took a chance on that kid right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
no kid.
If he doesn't turn out, so be it. But when you see some, even in the 1A classification, you can have some talent in there that's good enough to go to the next level.
And then on Friday, and let me go back and say that on the Thursday matchups, it'll go 3A, 1A, 5A.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be 3A first at 11 o'clock, 1A at 3, 5A at 7. And on Friday, the first game will be the 4A game. It will be Deschler versus Leeds. And a neat storyline to this, obviously, is Deschler making it all the way to the state championship game after it was either 8th or 9th week of the season. Their head football coach, just a tragic story, died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound in Tennessee. A lot of people don't understand. Nobody knows really what happened with that, but those players, the community rallied. They haven't lost a football game since that happened. So, that'll be an emotional day, Luke, when we kick off Friday, when those two teams hit the field. And, of course, Leeds, and we just talked about with Trey Nation and Coach Keith Etheridge, a very good football team. They're only lost to Dadeville Tigers right down the road.
Yeah, they're strong, but that's what I was going to say is that they're not unbeatable. I mean, they lost to a Dadeville team that isn't necessarily a vintage Dadeville team. And I think that Deschler playing with this wave of emotion, I talked about it on the Talking Tuscaloosa podcast earlier this afternoon, about Alabama going into the game against Missouri and everybody saying, well, they should have a letdown now because they had such a wave of emotion after the Auburn game. And I'm saying, well, if you remember last year, Auburn did too, and they rode that wave on through the SEC title game.
That's right.
Maybe that's what Deschler can keep doing.
That's exactly right. And then the 2A game will be Fife and Elba. Both those teams are 14-0. Fife eliminated Reeltown in the second round. Fife looks like they're the strongest team. Now, I'm not sliding Elba, but Elba had to win in a close 21-14 win. Fife hadn't had a close game in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're pretty strong. It's going to be a difficult game for Elba right there, but look, it's a one game. Put it all out on the field.
That's exactly right. And then the nightcap, the last game of the Super 7, the 6A game, Clay Chalkville, who has been number one in 6A really from the onset, will take on a Saraland team that got over the hump against Spanish Fort. Saraland's lone loss was to Spanish Fort earlier in the season. They avenged that loss in the playoffs, beat them 14-10. I am really looking forward to this football game.
That'll be a classic. And I picked Saraland in the paper to win today. I know Clay Chalkville has got weapon upon weapon, but
they lost their
starting tailback, who was the lifeblood of that team in a sense. And so I think that they're going to have some issues. But look, Clay Chalkville is very, very strong. Saraland just seems like they're on a mission.
They really do. We'll take another break here on the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show. We'll wrap it up when we come back, and then we'll head over to Sports Blitz Live. Stay tuned. More of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show right after this.
The best chicken fingers.
At least teach some of the things in there.
Come back to you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show. Only a few more minutes here, and then Luke will cut off early. Head over to Sports Blitz Live. We got a great show planned for everybody. We'll have Cameron Blankenship on at 7:30 to talk about this UAB situation. I'm sure we'll be inundated with some comments and calls with that when we go statewide. We'll also talk Iron Bowl. Obviously, we'll recap that football game, the high scoring Iron Bowl ever, 55-44 is kind of Arena Bowl-ish, more like it instead of Iron Bowl-ish, but we'll talk about that, and we'll obviously recap and dive more deeply into the high school side of things as we head over tomorrow for the Super 7. It kicks off at 7 o'clock with Hoover and Prattville. So a lot on tap on the show. We want to hear from you. The number over there will be 1-800-782-0108 or 256-234-6464. Real quick, we want to thank Russell Lands and Russell Building Supplies for being our corporate partner on the AHSA radio network. They have joined forces with us now so we can broadcast and continue our success throughout the state of Alabama on AL.com and on the affiliates that pick our games up, Luke. So we're excited that they're on board with us now, and hope to have a long relationship with them like we've had with JR's here on Sports Blitz.
Oh, no doubt. We certainly do appreciate all of our sponsors. All of them are fantastic, and we're glad they're a part of the family.
And we're going to go ahead and head on over to JR Sports Bar and Grill. That show will be coming on in about 9 minutes. So stay tuned. Keep it locked right here to 97.5 Kowaliga Country, or tune us in on Charter Cable Channel 80 statewide. So we'd love for you to watch us and love for you to tune us in there. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for listening to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup.